Okay, everyone, last but not least with our literal equations, we're going to look at some common formulas. So I've given you the formulas we're going to use. We have the temperature formula. F is your degrees Fahrenheit, C is your degrees Celsius, and the formula it's going to give us is that Celsius equals 5/9 times Fahrenheit minus 32 degrees. Simple interest, I equals PRT. It tells you that I is your interest that you earn. Principal, or P is your principal. That means the amount you put in, or we could put here the start amount. And then distance, D equals RT. D is your distance traveled, R is your rate, T is your time, and we've actually worked with that one before. So we have 3 examples. Number 5. A fever is generally considered to be a body temperature greater than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Your friend has a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. Does your friend have a fever? So given we're talking about degrees, I'm going to go back to my chart and I'm going to use Celsius equals 5/9 times Fahrenheit minus 32. Now, you have a fever if your body temperature is greater than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But that's not what I know about my body temperature. What I know about my body temperature is that it's 37 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to come to my formula and I'm going to say, okay, well, for Celsius, I know that the body temperature is 37. And then I've got 5/9 times Fahrenheit minus 32. Well, this is a conversion. If I solve this for F, which is my literal equation, if I get F equals, and then that's less than 100 degrees, then I know I don't have a fever. If it's more than 100 degrees, then I know I do have a fever. So our goal here is to solve for F. Now, the first thing I got to do is I got to get rid of this 5/9. I don't like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So I'm going to use really, really, really big parentheses here, which are going to look like brackets. The reciprocal is when you take a fraction and flip it upside down. So instead of 5/9, I'm going to multiply by 9/5. Same thing over here, really big parentheses. I'm going to multiply by 9/5. And for right now, because I don't actually know what this is, in my next step, I'm going to simply write it as 9/5 times 37 equals. Now, the 9 in the numerator will cancel the 9 in the denominator. The 5 in the numerator will cancel the 5 in the denominator. Then the only thing we have left is our F minus 32. And because it's the only thing that's left over here, you don't really need the parentheses. Now, we're trying to get F by itself. The last thing I have to do is add 32. Over here, we have 9/5 times 37 plus 32. Because this 9/5 is here, you cannot add 37 to 32 because at the moment, multiplication, if you think about your order of operations, would have to come first. So please just write 9/5 times 37 and then plus 32 equals F. Now remember, we're trying to compare this to 100 degrees because your temperature in Fahrenheit, if it's above 100, you have a temperature. If it's below 100, you don't have a temperature. I cannot do this math in my head, so I'm going to go grab my calculator on Desmos. Under Math Tools, it's your scientific. We're working with 9 divided by 5 out to the side times 37. Close that parenthesis, plus 32. And that's going to give us 98.6 degrees. So I know this is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So does your friend have a temperature? No, because his temperature is below 100 degrees. Number 6, how much money must you deposit in a simple interest account to earn $500 in interest in 5 years at 4% annual interest. So if I go back and reference that page, we're talking about simple interest here, and the formula we were given is interest equals PRT. Okay, now how much money must you deposit? That's going to be your principal, which tells me I don't know what P is. But I want my account to earn $500 interest. Well, interest is I, so I'm going to substitute 500 equals. P I don't know because that's how much money I'm going to have to deposit, meaning my starting amount of money. If I want 4% interest, that's your rate. Now, the key with rate is it must be written as a decimal. So 4%, two ways you can do this. You can either divide by 100, which is going to get you 0.04, or you can just say, okay, there's a decimal here that I can't see. Move it twice to the front, which is the same thing as dividing by 100. So when we put in our rate, we're going to have 0.04 times t, which is time, and it's telling us we're going to leave the money in the account for 5 years. Now all we have to do is solve for p. All of this is multiplication, so if I want, I can start with 0.04 times 5. 0.04 times 5 is 0.2. So I'm going to have P times 0.2 equals 500. Then I'm going to divide by 0.2, which is going to leave me with P. So now I have 500 divided by 0.2. 500 divided by 0.2, which gives me 2,500. Which means if you want to earn $500 in interest over the course of 5 years at a 4% interest rate, you have to put $2,500 into your bank account now. Last but not least, number 7, and of course we save the best for last. A truck driver averages 60 miles per hour while delivering freight and 45 miles per hour on the return trip. So as he's going out to deliver something, he's going 60 miles per hour. As he's driving back home after delivering it, he's driving 45 miles per hour. The total driving time out and back, when you add them together, is 7 hours. How long does each trip take? Now, think about this before we start writing stuff down. If he's going 60 miles per hour on the way out and 45 miles per hour on the way back, which trip is probably going to take him more time or less time? So, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, okay, well, if he's going 60 miles per hour, he's really going faster on the way out. So the out trip is going to take him shorter than the coming home trip. And it was 7 hours altogether. Okay, so let's think about this. First of all, we're talking about a distance. We're talking about a rate. I'm thinking distance equals rate times time. We're going to set up a chart like we did in one of our previous problems that we did. And we have distance, we have rate, and we have time. We have delivery, and then we have home. So let's fill in what we know. On the delivery, when he's going out, his rate, he's going out 60 miles per hour. On the way home, he's coming back 45 miles per hour. Now, what do we know about the distance? Well, the distance out and the distance back are the same. I don't know what they are, but I know it's the same distance. And then what do we know about the time? Well, it gives us that the total time is 7 hours. So let's say this took 1 hour, then that would mean this would have to take 6. But what if this took 2 hours? Then how much would this have to take? 5, because the total is 7, 5, 6, 7. Well, what if this took 3 hours? Then this would 7, 6, this would have to take 4 hours. So do you kind of get what we're doing here? Well, I don't know how much this took, so this took t hours. Well, if this took t hours, then what did this take? Well, the total was 7, so 7 minus however much this took, because this is whatever's left over. So if this took 1 hour, then this took 7 minus 1 hour, which was 6. If this took 2 hours, then this took 7 minus 2 hours, which was 5. 5, 6, 7. If this took 3 hours, then the other one took 7 minus 3 hours, which is 4, because 4, 5, 6, 7. So I hope you kind of see where I'm going there. Let's keep going. So I'm going to have 2 equations. My first equation is distance equals rate times time. My second equation is distance equals rate times time. And I'm filling in what I have in my boxes. Do you notice that the distance is the same for both of them? So if these are equal, we're going to use a little substitution, and our equation is going to be 60t equals 45 times 7 minus t. So we just substitute the d in for the d and solve. So first thing I'm going to do is simplify over here. 45 times 7 is 315. 45 times negative t is negative 45t, and then I drop down my 60t. Then I'm going to try to get all of my variables to the same side. So I'm going to add my 45t. $60t plus 45t is 105t. These guys canceled, which just leave me with my 315. Then I'm going to divide by 105, which leaves me with t equals 3. Let's go back up and figure out what we just found. So we are trying to find how long does each trip take? How long? What time? And you just found t equals 3. So t equals 3. We're talking in miles per hour. So this is 3 hours. So I know my delivery trip took 3 hours, which means 7 minus 3 is 4 hours, which means my home trip on the way back took 4 hours, which makes sense because I was driving 60 miles per hour, which is faster on the way out, so it took me shorter time. I was driving 45 miles per hour on the way back, which is slower, so it took me more time.